Hello and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Eerie Exhibit. The Isle of Wight, with its windswept cliffs and whispering woodlands, had always been a place of mystery. Holly Arnold, the curator of the island's Antiquities Museum, had a profound respect for its storied past. Yet nothing had prepared her for the recent acquisition, a collection of artifacts from a recently unearthed archaeological dig rumored to be cursed. The dig, led by Dr. Marcus Llewellyn, had uncovered a burial site dating back thousands of years. The artifacts, preserved in the cold earth, were remarkable: intricate jewelry, eerie idols, and tablets inscribed with unknown symbols. Llewellyn, upon finding them, had become obsessed, convinced they belonged to a civilization lost to time. He ignored the locals' warnings of a malevolent force tied to the site, attributing their fears to superstition. The items arrived at the museum in unmarked crates, their surfaces still bearing the dust of ages. Holly felt a twinge of unease as she unpacked them, but she pushed it aside. She had a job to do, and the exhibit's opening was just days away. She meticulously arranged the items, her fingers tingling each time she touched the cold stone of the idols. There was something unsettling about their hollow eyes, as if they watched her every move. As the grand opening approached, whispers of the curse spread through the small town. Some claimed to have seen ghostly figures near the museum at night, while others spoke of strange dreams and unexplained illnesses. Holly dismissed these stories as mere rumors, the product of overactive imaginations and fear of the unknown. The night before the exhibit opened, Holly stayed late at the museum, making final adjustments. As she worked, the air grew heavy, and an oppressive silence filled the room. She felt a presence behind her and turned swiftly, only to see the empty gallery. Her pulse quickened. Shaking off the paranoia, she finished her tasks and locked up, unaware of the shadowy figure that watched her leave. The exhibit's opening day dawned bright and clear, a stark contrast to the dark omens whispered about the artifacts. Crowds gathered, eager to witness the marvels of the ancient world. Holly greeted the visitors, her professional smile masking her growing unease. The first sign of trouble came as the crowd shuffled through the exhibit hall. A young boy, entranced by a jade amulet, screamed suddenly and collapsed. His mother cradled him, sobbing as he babbled about dark shadows and cold hands. Holly rushed to help, but the boy's wild eyes sent chills down her spine. She assured the mother that they would call an ambulance, but as the paramedics arrived, the boy fell silent, his gaze fixed on the artifacts. As the day wore on, more incidents occurred. Visitors complained of dizziness, nausea, and hallucinations. One man claimed to hear whispers urging him to join the darkness. A woman fainted, her body convulsing as she muttered in an ancient, guttural language. Panic spread, and by afternoon the museum was forced to close. Holly, shaken but determined, knew she had to get to the bottom of the mystery. She called Dr. Llewellyn, hoping for answers. His voice, usually confident and reassuring, trembled as he spoke. "Holly, we were wrong," he confessed. "These artifacts, they're not just relics. They're vessels, prisons for something ancient and malevolent. We disturbed it, and now it's lashing out. Is there any way to stop it?" Holly asked, her heart pounding. "There might be," Llewellyn replied. "But it's dangerous. We need to return the artifacts to the site and perform a ritual to seal the entity. If we fail..." He didn't need to finish. Holly knew the stakes. That night, with the museum closed and the artifacts locked away, Holly prepared for the journey back to the dig site. She gathered the items, their weight seeming to increase with every passing moment. As she loaded them into her car, the air grew colder, and shadows danced at the edge of her vision. The drive to the site was eerily quiet. The moon hung low, casting an otherworldly glow over the landscape. Holly arrived to find Llewellyn waiting, his face drawn and haggard. Together, they carried the artifacts to the burial ground, the oppressive feeling intensifying with each step. Llewellyn began the ritual, chanting in the ancient tongue inscribed on the tablets. The ground trembled, and a low, guttural growl emanated from the earth. Holly watched in horror as spectral figures rose from the shadows, their hollow eyes fixed on her. "Stay strong, Holly," Llewellyn urged, his voice strained. "We're almost there." As the chant reached its climax, a dark, swirling mist erupted from the idols, coalescing into a monstrous form. It loomed over them, its eyes burning with malevolence. Holly felt an icy hand grip her heart, paralyzing her with fear. Llewellyn's voice faltered, and the entity advanced. Desperation surged through Holly, and she grabbed the nearest idol, hurling it at the creature. The idol shattered, releasing a blinding light that engulfed the entity. It shrieked, a sound of pure agony, and began to dissipate. Llewellyn resumed the chant, his voice gaining strength. The ground swallowed the remaining artifacts, and with a final, deafening roar, the entity was pulled back into the earth. Silence fell, and the oppressive weight lifted. Holly collapsed, her body trembling. Llewellyn helped her to her feet, his eyes filled with a mix of relief and sorrow. "It's over," he said softly. "But we must never forget the cost." In the days that followed, the museum remained closed, the artifacts buried once more. The townspeople whispered of the brave curator who had faced the ancient evil and prevailed. Holly returned to her duties, but the experience left an indelible mark on her soul. The Isle of Wight, with its wind-swept cliffs and whispering woodlands, remained a place of mystery. And in the quiet moments, Holly could still feel the eyes of the past watching, waiting, reminding her that some secrets are best left buried. As summer turned to autumn on the Isle of Wight, Holly Arnold found herself grappling with the aftermath of her harrowing experience. Though the museum remained closed, whispers about the cursed exhibit continued to circulate, casting a shadow over her once beloved institution. Determined to restore the museum's reputation and her own peace of mind, Holly began researching ways to protect against and understand ancient curses. She pored over dusty tomes in the museum's library, consulted with historians and occult experts, and even traveled to other archaeological sites in search of knowledge. The more she learned, the more she realized how little she knew about the true nature of the artifacts she had encountered. Their power, she discovered, was rooted in an ancient, forgotten religion that had thrived on the Isle long before recorded history. One evening, while reading an old manuscript, Holly stumbled upon a reference to a secret order known as the Guardians of the Veil. According to the text, the Guardians were dedicated to protecting the world from the dark forces hidden within certain ancient relics. Intrigued, Holly set out to find any remaining members of this elusive group. A search led her to a remote village on the northern coast of the island, where she met an elderly woman named Eleanor. Eleanor, who claimed to be a descendant of the last known guardian, welcomed Holly into her home and shared stories passed down through generations. She revealed that the guardians had once safeguarded the island against malevolent spirits and that their knowledge had been nearly lost over the centuries. Eleanor agreed to teach Holly what she knew, and together they delved into the ancient rituals and protective spells that had kept the island safe. Holly learned about the importance of sacred symbols, the power of certain herbs and minerals, and the significance of the lunar cycles. Under Eleanor's guidance, she began to craft protective wards and charms for the museum and herself. As winter approached, Holly returned to the museum, determined to reopen it under a new, fortified exhibit that would honor the past while ensuring the safety of visitors. She carefully placed the protective wards throughout the building, creating a barrier against any lingering dark forces. With Eleanor's help, she also designed an educational display that explained the history and significance of the Guardians of the Veil. On the night of the museum's reopening, Holly felt a mixture of anxiety and hope. She had invited the townspeople, as well as experts in archaeology and history, to witness the new exhibit. As the guests arrived, Holly stood at the entrance, welcoming them with a genuine smile. The air was crisp, and the scent of burning sage wafted through the halls, a reminder of the protective measures she had taken. The evening began smoothly, with visitors admiring the artifacts and learning about the Guardians. Holly observed their reactions closely, relieved to see no signs of the strange phenomena that had plagued the previous exhibit. The atmosphere was light and curious, a stark contrast to the fear and panic of months before. However, as the night wore on, Holly couldn't shake the feeling that something was still amiss. She noticed a peculiar energy in the air, a faint hum that seemed to resonate with the artifacts. Her heart pounded as she scanned the room, searching for any sign of danger. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a cold breeze swept through the hall. Gasps echoed as shadows danced along the walls, taking on ominous shapes. Holly's protective ward should have held back any malevolent force, but it seemed that something had slipped through. Eleanor, who had sensed the disturbance as well, stepped forward, her eyes fierce with determination. "Everyone, remain calm," she called out. "We have prepared for this." Holly joined Eleanor at the center of the room, where they quickly set up a makeshift altar using items from the exhibit: an ancient bowl, a few sacred herbs, and a candle. Together they began to chant, invoking the protection of the guardians and calling upon the power of the island's ancient spirits. The temperature dropped further, and the shadows seemed to grow in strength, converging toward the altar. Holly's voice wavered, but Eleanor's remained steady, guiding her through the ritual. The air crackled with energy as they poured their intent into the words, willing the darkness to retreat. For a tense moment, it seemed as if the shadows would overwhelm them, but then a brilliant light erupted from the altar, illuminating the room and banishing the darkness. The temperature rose, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a sense of calm and tranquility. The guests, though shaken, began to relax as they realized the danger had passed. Holly and Eleanor finished the ritual, their relief palpable. The protective wards, combined with their newfound knowledge and the strength of the Guardian's legacy, had held strong. As the evening drew to a close, Holly addressed the guests, explaining the significance of what they had witnessed and the importance of respecting and protecting ancient artifacts. She thanked them for their courage and support, knowing that the museum's future depended on their understanding and trust. In the following months, the museum thrived, becoming a beacon of education and preservation. Holly continued her studies with Eleanor, deepening her knowledge of ancient protections and the Guardian's traditions. The experience had changed her, instilling in her a greater sense of responsibility and respect for the mysteries of the past. The Isle of Wight remained a place of mystery, but now it was also a place of guardianship and vigilance. Holly Arnold, the curator who had faced an ancient evil and prevailed, became known as a modern-day guardian, dedicated to protecting the island's rich history and ensuring that its dark secrets remained safely buried. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had a great day.